A few weeks back before the NFL draft, we did a mock draft with Hayden Winks. Some of us had some pretty controversial, spicy picks, and now it is time for a do-over. The NFL draft is in the books. We have Blair Andrews joining us tonight for a 4-man prestigious mock draft here on Ship Chasing. Let's do it.
Pat Fryer Helmo.
This is why I'm hot.
Anita Handjob.
Fix your sight.
Jamar Alpha Play Chase.
Are you kidding me? Kadarius Toney?
You can't handle the heat.
It looks like we're finally this boys. You're right.
Blair Andrews, we wanted to have you on our Ship Chasing / Rotoviz / Stealing Bananas live stream last week, and you were actually working. Someone had to work, right, while we all drank.
That's right. Someone had to keep the machine going.
How did it go? How was draft night from your battle state?
Oh, draft night was great. It was fast and furious for a lot of the first round, and then a little bit slow after that, but a lot of fun. There
you go. Well, I know some people tonight were hoping we'd jump into a Best Ball Mania 3 draft. That, of course, launched $2 million. I get it, but we all huddled, and it was like, we know Best Ball is going to take over the summer. We're going to be drafting virtually every single week on the stream. And Pat, as a true Dynasty bro, was like, can we just do one Dynasty?
Can you give us this 1 week?
His quote was, the darkest part of my Dynasty guy's soul is annoyed that this is a Best Ball week now.
It's so true, because before Best Ball reached this level of prominence, I'm just thinking 2 to 3 years ago, this week was this was
the week. Yeah.
The most exciting week of the year. And now we're just you want to draft a Best Ball team?
Yeah, Best Ball Mania 3, let's go.
It's
well, we're drafting our rookies.
I know. I had someone in my mentions being real disappointed you guys aren't drafting Best Ball. I was like, dude, we're going to be drafting these all summer long.
It's been less than 1 week since the NFL draft, and everyone's like, let's move on.
Yeah. And it is funny. We should pull this up here to look back on the pre-draft mock we did with Hayden here. Definitely some fun things to look at, Crane. A little aggressive with that Malik Willis pick, I'd say.
Oh boy, yeah. I had my whole lecture about how it was Superflex. Matt Corral actually aged better.
Yeah, Treylon Burks. I mean, your boy just fucking crushing that one out of the park right there. Who won this one? I mean, you had Jameson Williams there in the second round, which looks pretty nice. I mean, Hayden too. I guess Gretch, the Olave pick, how you feel about that in retrospect?
I mean, I feel pretty good about mine because Bell and White were ones that we didn't know on Capital, and they both got big bumps from Capital. Ross obviously got the negative bump, but then Tolbert and Robinson also got bumps. Jelani Woods also got a bump.
Yeah, he
from
did.
Draft Capital.
Yeah.
I feel like I might have won this.
I think Gretch won. The Willis one kills mine. I got the Algier and Damian Pierce. What is CK?
I got an NA. I can't remember who we were talking about.
I think that was Charlie Kolar. Yeah, so that didn't do
Kolar.
any good. Yeah, so I had a couple nice ones, but Gretch beat me.
Yo, look at my
That
running
third pick is
yeah.
probably the what seals it, right?
Sky Moore.
Pete's is pretty good. Pete
Yeah.
did take Jalen Weidemeyer.
I mean,
So
the
that's
Bills'
tough.
landing spot
That's
is
a tough
just
scene.
mwah.
Actually, Pete
Chef's
got Alan Pierce late, really late. I don't know. Pete has a case. Pete has a pretty good
Jalen Weidermeyer.
I don't know.
I mean, your running backs getting Algier and Pierce there are pretty nice, considering the landing spots.
Yeah, those are pretty good. Those are pretty good. Hayden just kind of he just hit a bunch of singles and doubles, right? He didn't take any, he didn't eat it. He didn't eat it anywhere. But it doesn't seem. I guess Drake London there. How did we do this? Drake London? Oh, because he did a double tap.
How did Drake London happen? Because someone took Malik Willis over him. That's what happened.
That's right. Well, we snaked this, right? We snaked it.
Yeah, we did. Hayden got the double tap. That.
I was going to say,
Yeah.
Pete has definitely a lot of interesting. I mean, there's guys there that I'm a lot more interested in. Like Spiller, for example, we were worried about after the combine. I kind of we kind of knew he'd fall a little bit. I kind of like what the Chargers landing spot. it's a more fun pick now, I think, than we were kind of mocking you for taking Spiller there earlier. But I think it's a justifiable pick now.
It is.
I was getting mocked for a lot of picks.
The chat says Hayden won. I believe because he took the most wide receivers. Yeah, because he pissed yellow. So
he did.
I'm going to take the yellow on this one. I think I had the worst draft.
I like Casey's.
Christian Watson's a pretty good pick in the 5th now. He moved up like a whole round from this.
There you go.
I mean, basically, the quarterback picks are what didn't age that well.
Right.
Yeah,
the quarterback picks were tough.
Nick thinks my last pick was better than your first pick, right?
That's fair.
Wow.
That's good.
That's a fair one. Oh boy, go. Malik.
So now it
is
time.
The NFL was not into it.
I think it's time for some redemption here. Blair, I'll let you do this. I believe we let Hayden decide where he wanted to pick. So we'll give our guest the spot here. Do you want 1, 2, 3, or 4?
Give me 2.
Okay.
That feels like a tough spot to be in.
Yep.
I think you gave me second choice last time. So Pete, why don't you take second choice? And I think you gave Corain third. So why don't you take second choice this time?
No, I feel I'm good. I'm still flexible. I know this stuff inside and out. I can really kind of dominate from any position.
The flexible flex.
What spot do you want, Pat?
I'll take the 103.
All right. Go for it.
I'll take the 104. We'll give Pete the influencer 101. I already had the 101 last time around.
All right. Okay, I'll take I need as many of these as I can get. All right. So now this is the thing, right? What's our scoring settings? Have we established we're going?
I can't really see it.
Whatever the audience thinks. So you just got to take Werdemeyer 101 and you're going to win.
I mean, we need to establish.
If you're not a coward, you'll take your favorite UDFA.
All right. My heart wants to take Treylon Burks, but I'm trying to provide a service to the people. I know a lot of people have mock drafts. I can't be leading them astray. You're going to go ahead. We're going to take Breece Hall. I've been told he's not a generational prospect by some people. I've been told he is a generational prospect by others, but I'm going to take him at the 101. Why, Pat? Because I think I'm going to be able to flip him about a year from now in this mock hypothetical league. I think he's going to retain his value. I think his role's going to grow. Breece Hall.
It's going to grow.
Pounded the table.
It's the right pick, and it was a great analysis. Would anyone have taken someone other than Breece Hall in all seriousness? 101.
Yeah. In a Superflex draft, I would have taken Burks.
Wait, why does Superflex change it for you?
Because generally those leagues are a lot deeper. So I'm in leagues that like the FFPC league that cuts down to 16 and it cuts down to 14 non-kicker defense. I would take Hall there. They tend to be much more running back focused. I'm in leagues that are 20 spots, not including kicker and D. I would take Hall there too. But once you get to these really deep leagues, particularly like the best ball leagues, I don't know. I'm taking Treylon Burks in those types of leagues.
What are you doing?
Just trying to get my formatting set. I'm really trying to up our production value on this show, and everyone's used to Arial font when they're in Google Sheets. Having Comic Sans makes it feels fun, makes it feels light. So just let me do my production work over here, guys.
So all Blair just didn't want to have to take Breece Hall. He's really glad you didn't take Burks. Who's it going to be?
Well, it's actually going to be the guy that I would probably consider taking at 101 over Breece Hall, and it's not Burks, it's Drake London.
Oh, there's a
this
London
is why
stand.
I picked the 3. I thought you might be a London.
Yeah.
Getting my guy.
I should have known that if I took 3, you would probably take Burks, and I would get London anyway. But
yep, would have been a great shake. You got the steal of the draft.
Okay, so give us the Drake London over Burks case.
So this was pretty much a toss-up most of the offseason, but I think the thing that it comes down to is that London is almost a year younger than Burks. So that's the thing that I'm looking at that kind of breaks the tie for me.
A youth chaser.
Exactly.
Where do you think London
That's like the
has
only good argument I've heard
that he's younger?
Yeah, Blair's is always on top of like the good thing that I haven't heard yet. I had not heard that. I mean, I think I saw that at some point, but like I hadn't heard that as a good one-on-one debate. London's almost a whole year younger.
That's exactly right. In fact, London broke out in his junior year. Burks broke out as a sophomore, but because London is so much younger, he actually has a younger breakout age than Burks by like 2 months.
All right.
So playing devil's advocate here, Marcus Mariota, is he able to get the ball to London? Is this offense going to be able to do anything whatsoever? At least with Burks, you're getting Tannehill, known commodity, stepping in as a 1-for-1 replacement. Just seems like a lot more seamless transition for Burks as far as producing.
Yeah, that's true. No question, Burks has probably a better quarterback. I think that with now adding London and with Pitts, I think that Atlanta's offense could end up being a little bit more explosive than we think. And Mariota is probably not as bad as we expect. That's at least my hope. But that's definitely a valid concern.
What's your upside comp for him, for London?
Blair's like, fuck comps.
Silva today said Allen Robinson.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I think the difference, like I was thinking Robinson or Mike Evans or someone like that, but the difference is that London, at least in college, got a lot more targets closer to the line of scrimmage, which is something he does that those guys don't really do. So in that sense, he might have a higher ceiling than those guys. I mean, I don't want to say like Devontae, but he could have that same kind of role. Maybe not to that with that efficiency.
The guy who's come to mind, and I don't know if this makes sense. I would actually be curious if like a tape guy would
loving Pat's video right now.
Yeah. This is a rthorical question. When in doubt, Pat is frozen.
His mouth stopped moving as he talked.
Oh no, look. No, it's catching up now. There it goes. All right, am I back? Okay, I was just gonna say Marcus Colston comes to mind when I keep hearing all the descriptions of Drake London's game. Kind of a chain mover guy, number one, but maybe not like the most explosive after the catch.
I like that. It's a good description of why I don't like Drake London as much as Treylon Burks.
All right,
well,
go for it.
Blair's looking for tiebreakers here, and I get it. I get why these prospects are pretty close. You're looking for tiebreakers. I don't know, Blair. How about hand size? Isn't that something that you've shown to be very predictive? So
yeah, remember when you made us all draft Mecole Hardman as well, Blair? Because of his hands?
Literally still drafting him just because Blair tells me to.
Of course, you have to now. Hand size, yeah, but were Burks' hands that much bigger?
Yeah, Burks' hands are an 1/8 inch shy of 10 inches. And
how else do you get the wild boar around a small hand? I mean,
I just double checked. I just double checked it. That's why my computer was freezing, because the NFL site hogs a lot of my bandwidth. So I double checked it just now. Burks has 9 7/8 inch, which is pretty big, and Drake London 9 3/8, which is not so big. So if we're looking for hand size as a tiebreaker, I'm going Treylon Burks.
All right.
Yeah.
What do you say? You're the hand size expert.
That's an extra 1/2 inch right there we're talking about.
No, yeah, that's pretty significant. 9 3/8 is I think the NFL median for wide receiver. So you'd expect a guy who's big like Drake London to be have a little bit bigger hands, but
maybe that contested catch stuff doesn't translate as well with those little hands.
All right,
they're average hands, Pat. They're average. All right.
They're little for him.
9 3/8 is average.
Treylon Burks has got those big boar hunting hands, 10 inches. You love to see it. I'm taking Treylon Burks. I've said everything there is to say about him. He's going to be a star.
Where we got some ship chasing startup drafts going on right now, Dynasty startups drafts. Where do you think Treylon Burks should go in a Superflex tight end premium startup?
101.
101. I have him ranked 101 in my
it's a startup draft.
In a startup.
101. No. You know, to be honest, I think part of it is that, like, so we're doing a startup, the ship chasing startup, and Breece Hall just went. Yeah, pull up.
This is mine right now, and we are in the 4-4, and Treylon Burks is still on the board.
That's good. I want him there.
I love London Wilson there. Oh yeah,
I think that's a really good price for these guys. I would probably.
I was thinking second or third. So
right, I was gonna say right around where Diggs and Hawkinson went. I think I'd start looking at them.
DJ Moore went 311. You guys know I'd do anything for DJ Moore. I'd probably give him like a toe or something, but I would take any of these rookies over him just on youth alone. Like he doesn't have a great situation. You got a tough quarterback situation, and you have the years.
You know what, Gretch? I heard you and Sean talking about this on Stealing Bananas, and I hadn't heard this until you went on the monologue. Just in case people missed it, tell them about Jalen Hurts and Treylon Burks.
Jalen Hurts and AJ Brown.
And AJ Brown. I was mixing up.
They are best friends. Should we do like a whole bit? Because I could do a whole thing about this. We got a Disneyland narrative. They went to Disneyland together. Somebody might mention this is not verified. Said that Jalen Hurts is the godfather of AJ Brown's child. Jalen Hurts was at AJ Brown's daughter's second birthday about a week before the draft. They got played a little game of catch in the background because they're best buds. They were joking around about potentially playing together. They find out a week later AJ Brown's traded. Now they're teammates. Apparently, when AJ Brown went on his recruiting trip to Alabama, which obviously he ended up going to Ole Miss, him and Hurts hit it off. They stayed in connection. They talk basically every day about life, about football, about everything. Absolute mind meld, quarterback, wide receiver.
Wow.
Coming together. These guys are legitimate best friends. Like they went to Disneyland together. They go to each other's kids' birthday parties. They might be godfathers of each other's children.
When this narrative goes mainstream, and we know it's going mainstream, like
Levitan already did the tweet. It's
I'm talking like ESPN montage mainstream. I mean, AJ Brown's gonna be going like 1-7 by July.
Oh, dude. I mean, too low. All
right, let's get back to our draft here. I believe Gretch.
Well, can we just point out that Sam is now furious with us because we demanded that Treylon Burks be selected in that league, and he's about to be on the clock.
Andrew takes Treylon. Sam doesn't deserve him. This is a ship chasing league, and he started Kyler Murray, Christian McCaffrey, and DeAndre Swift. Not a true piss boy. Doesn't deserve.
How did you guys start? I liked my start, man.
I started Allen, Diggs, Hawk, Elijah Moore.
We've only done 3 rounds. I got JT, Cup, Stafford.
Okay.
JT, Cup.
You got the stack like me with.
I got the
Diggs
stack. I got a nice.
Year one.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully more than year one, but certainly I in the present.
To me, after doing the draft, thinking through the 3rd round reversal, I feel like pick 1-5 or 1-6 is optimal. You were getting like Burrow or Chase there. You're also able to get, your choice of quarterback in the 2nd round, like a Hurts, Breece Hall, and Swift kicking around in the 3rd. I feel like when I picked at the end of the 3rd round, I felt like some tear breaks there.
Yeah, I wanted to be on the good side of the 3rd round. And I got JT to drop to the 9th pick, which felt like pretty nice value. So, but I obviously didn't get an elite quarterback.
I'm a dipshit. Never got back to Sam, and I'm not even in these dynasty leagues. But
what?
One of the listeners who wants to co-manage with me hit me up in the DMs. Somebody.
Great, you should do their
in
teams,
progress.
No, not going to co-manage this one.
If anybody is interested, let me know because I need to get in on this. That was really stupid of me. Yeah, I told him initially I wasn't sure I wanted to add any more. I wasn't sure I wanted to add any more dynasty leagues, and then I never got back to you, Sam, and I apologize about that. That's completely on me. I was definitely supposed to do that. Also, I'm up, and I went to happy hour, had a few margs. I'm feeling good. Kenneth Walker is definitely, I think, in this range. Not taking him. Fuck that.
Yeah.
Garrett Wilson and Jameson Williams. I think. Yeah, I'll do it. I don't think I'm gonna roll the clip. I'm gonna leave it for Pat.
Gretch, you're a delight. You're just a great man.
So looking back at our draft before, it looks like Jameson Williams a bit of a riser. Like, where are you? I feel like the Garrett Wilson stuff like played out about how people expected, going between like pick 10 to 15. But Jameson Williams, I don't know. I feel like he was getting a ton of steam. People really coming around on him, not as worried about the ACL. Like, where are you at on the Lions landing spot?
It's not great. But I think the offsetting of that is that his rehab is reportedly going really well. I think that's the thing that's being kind of missed a little on Williams. He's supposedly already running or sprinting, right? Like, I think people are baking in that he's going to miss half of this year. I'm starting to think we might see him. But I don't think it would be insane to see him week 1 at this stage. Like, I know that'd be a really fast return.
Probably I hope we don't. He's not going to be. Yeah.
But I mean,
let's see him when he's healthy.
But if he's already running, and if they were willing to take him that high, I think there's this idea that he's like back, like, and ready to go by September. I hope we don't see him until October. I don't think it's going to be a November or December thing. I don't think it's going to be a week 9 and we only get half a season. I do think we're going to get most of his rookie season. Now, it's not a great fit or anything like that, but he was a really good receiver. Like, if he's healthy, right, Pat, you've been telling me, Blair, you should comment on this, but he's in this group with these other 3. If he's healthy, right? He should have been, right?
I think so.
Okay. Then, I mean, that's the thing. It's like, I think we're getting a little bit of a discount on the ACL, the landing spot now, where his profile puts him without the ACL and with, potentially a better landing spot too. I mean, it would have put him in the London and Burks area. So I'm comfortable taking him here.
I think we'd probably pick some nits with him a little bit more if it wasn't the ACL. Like, he was 179 pounds. The tough part about that is, like, would he have been 185 pounds if he wasn't recovering from an ACL tear? Because he obviously was working out on, he wasn't training for the drills and stuff. So I don't know. I mean, that might be too much. But Garrett Wilson, we comment about the weight, and we don't really talk about the weight with Jameson Williams. We probably would if he hadn't torn his ACL.
Yeah, but if he hadn't torn his ACL, he also would have run at the combine and been like sub 4.3, so we wouldn't care.
He probably would have been like the second pick.
Right. He claims he would have broke the combine record. And look, I believe it. I'm willing to take that bet.
Blair, after London, how do you rank these 3? Burks, Wilson, Jameson?
I have them in that order, and I have kind of a tier break between Burks and Wilson.
Yeah.
But
Sam makes a good point about his sophomore year. He was really inefficient next to Love and Wilson. His targets per out run that year were 7%. Like, that's literally, I joke sometimes anytime you get under 10%, you're in Jalen Guyton territory. I don't think I've ever seen anyone have a target per out run at 7% for like 150 route sample, like a strong, not huge sample, but decent sized sample. He was a wind sprinter his sophomore year in Ohio State, but yet then he said, I'm gonna transfer because this is not a good fit for me. And Nick Saban came knocking and then made him a superstar at Al. Like, immediately was like, you're better than every receiver we have on our roster that we've recruited, that we've built up. We're putting you front and center, and he produced. So I'm a little bit willing to write that off and be like, okay, Ohio State was misusing him, which we've seen with Ohio State and similar receivers. But Nick Saban probably knows a little better than Ohio State is sort of my mindset.
Yeah, although I do think, like, I think if he was healthy, I would be more excited to take him, but I would still have him wide receiver 4 because the fact that Wilson outplayed them the same year that they're the same year in college. Although this is another Burks London situation where Williams is younger than Wilson, even though they're the same year. But that really does matter to me to some extent. I don't think it's everything, but Wilson's profile is also awesome. So if I'm using tiebreakers, the tiebreaker of like he played while Williams was on the bench. I mean, that seems like a good one.
Why don't you just draft both of them when you're on the turn?
I mean, I like it. I like it, especially when you can pass on Kenneth Walker and let him fall to me so I can take Sky Moore.
Yes! Roll it!
All right. I guess you take him in a mock draft, you get the hype for you.
Sky Moore, 2 wise.
The
That's the fucking sickest name I've ever seen for a wide receiver in my goddamn life. Sky's up!
Oh, let's go. Let's go. You want to talk about hand size? And I believe someone in the chat pointed this out earlier. 10 1/4 inch hands. My God. I mean, Blair, let me just throw this to you. Like, isn't this the whole point of the hand size stuff? Like, he's like undersized. He's kind of small as a slot guy. I don't know. He's physical. He's got the hands of a big wide receiver. He's going to be able to be a DJ Moore type in this offense. That's JJ Zacharyason's comp, and I love it.
Yeah, this is why I've been saying, everyone comes out with a Golden Tate comp, which I hate. The real comp is Stephon Diggs.
All right. I
Wow.
like the DJ Moore Stephon Diggs comps. These are I tuned into the right show.
Well, tell me where. Oh, go ahead.
Well, I was on Road of His Overtime, and Sean mentioned Stephon Diggs, and I said, could it even be Antonio Brown? And then Sean got offended that I was insinuating Antonio Brown's better than Stephon Diggs.
Well, that's what I was going to ask, because I know, obviously, Blair, you're in the trenches with Sean. Ben has been potting with Sean a bunch. I mean, he came on our show and basically laughed at our Sky Moore infatuation. He's been very bearish on him. Is Sean finally coming around on Sky Moore now that he's on his favorite team?
Sean is trying to maybe not get too excited about it, so he's like artificially tempering his expectation, maybe.
He's fudding it as an emotional hedge.
Yeah, that's it. No, I don't know.
All right, Sean, come around. The train's leaving the station here. All right, Blair, you are on the clock.
Yeah, does anyone want to trade up?
He's got to take a running back.
You got to do it, dude.
I'm really tempted.
Be ideological, Blair.
The problem is I don't really like the receivers here either.
I know, they're not fun.
You're out of options.
I think I'm going to go with Olave.
Okay. Let's go. All right, speak on that.
Well, he's really fast. First year in a non-Sean Payton offense. Maybe they let Jameis throw it deep, let him go crazy, and Olave is the main beneficiary of these. I am skeptical of kind of Michael Thomas's bounce back chances. They don't really have a ton else. So even though Olave wasn't my favorite prospect, he's a 4-year guy, but he was good for a long time at Ohio State. He was good for many years. So, and he did earn that first round draft grade. So maybe there's some mitigating circumstances here.
He's not going to fail, right? Like, he's going to be good. I think we're like a little bit, at least I'm kind of skeptical about how high the ceiling is, but like, yeah, I think he'll be a solid number 2 option at the NFL level.
I love that. And I think you have to be skeptical.
He could be Marquise Brown pretty easily, right?
Yeah.
Makes sense. I was going to say, with the research I was doing in the targets per out run, his best season was a sophomore year. Then when Jackson Smith and Jigba comes in and Garrett Wilson is continuing to progress and his targets per out run are improving each year, Olave, and he's a sophomore when Wilson is a freshman, right? Mm-hmm. And then going into his junior year, as Wilson becomes a sophomore, Olave's targets per out run go down. Wilson's go up. And Jackson Smith and Jigba comes in as a freshman. It's good that year. The next year, last year, Olave's a senior, Wilson's a junior, JSN's a sophomore. They both elevate, Wilson and JSN. Olave goes down even more. And so you start to see this thing where the competition got tougher and he got older, and he should be, still older than those guys, should be very productive, but he kind of takes a backseat. He's more of the number 3. I think that lends itself to what Pat was just saying. Like, he's going to be more of this, high floor, low ceiling type in the NFL probably.
A couple things. Willis, you reminded me, and I did just upload it to the system right now. So refresh, and sorry, Gormanji, I hadn't updated the emotes in a long time, and you just got replaced by Sky.
Oh man.
This guy more is. And the chat is noticing what happened here. And a lot of yellow. You guys double tapping wide receivers like the piss boys that you are. It's time we get some testosterone in here. Kenneth Walker, just absolute steal. Isn't he the third? Is it Kenneth Walker the third?
That's
Shouldn't
right.
be here.
It's Ken
and also,
Walker now.
we're going double Kenny. You guys some people forgot this is a Superflex tight end premium mock. Kenny Pickett. I mean, just look at you guys just getting absolutely worked here.
Beautiful picks. Just look at the value. This guy just scoops value like nobody's business.
That's what I do. I let other people overthink themselves, galaxy brain it, and I just scoop that value. Can't wait to watch Kenneth Walker in a 30-60 timeshare with Rashad Penny this year. It's going to be incredible.
I'm excited to see our receivers after 6 more go.
Yeah. Henry Muto was pointing out we're fading Najee down to the 110, and we're clearly doing the same with Kenneth Walker. I would just like to point out that although Establish the Run, our buddy Leone was fairly bullish on Najee Harris in terms of the projections. They are not bullish on Kenneth Walker. I think this one feels a little safer, which by the way, I feel just fine about the Najee fade. I don't think Najee looked very good as a rookie. He definitely got more.
Yeah.
He got the word. Everyone was right about. I was like, I don't think he's.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think he's that good, and like he's really going to get every snap and every opportunity. And then, yeah, he did. So you guys were right about that. But I feel like we were also onto something. So it's not the end of the world to me. This one's tough because like the work might not be there.
It's hard to argue we were low on Najee, but I do think the thesis of the play was correct, which is that Najee was not a superstar. And
right.
I don't think he is.
He's not. And he's going way too high now. This is like the peak. If you can sell, like Najee went in the second round of our startup. Oh man, I would be offloaded.
You're gonna sell Najee right as he's about to get unlocked by Kenny fucking Pickett.
Yes, this is the time. This is the time.
All right, your funeral. All right, Blair, you are back here on the wrap at what is this?
All right. Yeah, I'm gonna take another guy who I didn't love as a prospect, but he's got a ton of opportunity. It looks like in year one, Christian Watson. Come on down.
Okay.
There it is.
Speak on that.
Well, he's a small school guy, which normally I love, but when you see these guys play 4 years at a small school, you really want them to be crazy productive, which he wasn't. The good thing is that he, runs like a 4.3 something at 6'4", 208. So he's got the athleticism. He's catching passes from Aaron Rodgers. We hope so. Yeah.
There you go.
Nobody funds their own picks like Blair. It's fantastic. I love it.
What's that? Oh yeah.
He's normally I like him to be productive. He wasn't, but
I'll tell you the truth. It feels like maybe I don't remember past years as well, but it feels like after you get past about pick 6, it really dries up fast. And I'm not enthusiastic about almost anyone else.
But I think 10's another huge cliff in these. I think Pickett has to go. I think Watson has to go here. And then at this point, I think you can go like 6 different ways right now, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I was going to ask with this. I mean, obviously, all we have in life is the present, and all we have is this current 2022 rookie mock. But how do we think this class is ultimately going to age? Like, is this going to be a historically bad class when we look back in 5-6 years?
I would be surprised.
Yeah.
I honestly would be surprised if it was. The wide receiver class is pretty good. It's not like a generational wide receiver class, but I think it's like on
deep.
par with last year's as a whole. There is no Jamar Chase prospect, but there's like a bunch of like pretty darn good prospects. And we had a lot of, we almost had the over on the wide receivers in the first round hit. But Davis got a bad beat on that. But then we had Christian Watson go 34. We had a bunch of guys go in the second round. We didn't really, outside of Justin Ross, who, we know that's injury related, not talent related. We didn't have a guy this year that was like the darling who fell to day 3. David Bell got close, but like I feel pretty good about him as a round 3 guy. I think that's kind of exactly what we were hoping. You know, the hope is he's Keenan Allen. So overall, I think that the wide receiver class will make this overall rookie class look okay. Everything else could go down as pretty bad. Like if Kenneth Walker doesn't hit or Breece Hall doesn't hit, like the running back class could be historically bad.
But it is a deep class of decent profiles. In terms of like actual prospect profiles, Pete, what you just said is probably true. It's not as strong of a class profile wise. And again, these two guys would both know better than me. So you guys correct me if I'm wrong, but this is the way I'm viewing it. We don't have the premium profiles like Pat was just saying, the Jamar Chases, the Kyle Pitts, right? Like we don't have the premium, but we do have depth, I think, into the second round, which those types of guys become like Alvin Kamara sometimes. And I remember Kamara being just like an interesting 1-2 turn type in his class, sometimes like into the middle of the second round in his class in rookie drafts. And he ends up being a superstar. I think this class is deep enough of interesting profiles that you have to think that someone's going to hit. We don't necessarily know who, right? But so the profiles of the players, it's not as good of a class as it will turn out. The odds are that it's deep enough that some of these dudes are going to hit. We just don't necessarily know which ones.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I think that's right. Certainly a wide receiver. I think the other positions seem quite a bit weaker. I was going to ask where you would rank these guys in relation to last year's class. Like, obviously, there's no Chase in this class, but where would you put someone like Bateman in this class?
I think Bateman would be kind of there with Wilson. I feel like he'd probably have to be after Wilson because of the talented teammate factor. So you're like, he's a little bigger, but he's not. What was Bateman, like 195 or something, or even maybe a couple pounds lighter? So he didn't have a ton of weight on Wilson. Yeah, I don't know. That's kind of, but I think London and Burks would probably be ahead of Bateman,
and Bateman
especially post draft
too, right? Post-draft?
That's why I think this is like a pretty good wide receiver class. I mean, guys who like check all the boxes. There's 3 of them, and there's 4 if Jameson Williams isn't coming off a torn ACL. So, I think but Bateman probably belongs in that group. I don't think he's like a tier below those guys necessarily. But when you look at like immediate opportunity for London and Burks, Wilson and Bateman probably pretty close.
All right, Pat, you are on the clock. Will you continue to piss yellow?
I will. I'm going to take George Pickens.
Yes, that was my big tip. Why not?
We need to refresh the scoring settings for this league. So it's start 4 running backs, 1 wide receiver, 1.5 points per carry. Did you guys not get this information?
I think George Pickens
optional league.
George Pickens is a boom bust guy in the same mold as Christian Watson in some ways, downfield threat, incomplete profile, but it's like the reverse where he was like really good as a freshman. Then he wasn't that great as a sophomore. Then he tears his ACL. And so we don't really know. But the combine performance was encouraging. And I don't know. It feels like you need a couple things to break right. Deontay Johnson is a free agent after the year. They probably have to let him go. They probably also need to like move Deontay Johnson to the slot so that Pickens can play on the outside a lot. I'm actually confused about, unless they're going to move Claypool to the slot, it could be kind of a bad situation for Pickens this year. But they just took him in the second round, and he's got a huge ceiling as an early declare who broke out as a freshman. So I don't really want to overthink it. And, at this price, it's pretty good. Christian Watson, I think, is like, it's kind of almost like which one of these guys are you more afraid of turning into a superstar and you don't have them? Because they both have red flags.
Any thoughts on Pickens, Blair, and Gretch?
I think he was a good pick there.
I like Pickens a lot. It's not a great situation, obviously, that he landed in, as you mentioned, Pat. But I do really like him.
I mean, do you put any premium on just the Steelers' track record with these
a little
wide receivers? Like they have just nailed it.
Yeah, Juju, who we liked, then Deontay, who we didn't love, And then Claypool didn't really have the
Martavis
profile.
Bryant hit before his shit.
Martavis Bryant. Yeah, that was a good pick. They didn't get Sammy Coates right. That wasn't a great one, but I think he was maybe a 3rd round pick. They've been hitting. They obviously Antonio Brown and Emmanuel Sanders they got. I mean, Antonio Brown they got in the 6th round. I think Emmanuel Sanders was 3rd
Sanders
round.
didn't hit till he was in
Mike
Denver.
Wallace. Yep.
Mike Wallace. Sanders was productive. I mean, he helped out, but yeah, that's true. He wasn't. He was kind of a Robert Woods type character. Yeah, they've gotten a good track record, man, for sure. I think that's something. Like we care about draft position, and their scouting department is clearly awesome at wide receivers.
Yeah, Connor's saying small sample size. I do think on the extremes, there's probably some truth to it, right? Like the Pats are bad at evaluating wide receivers, and the Steelers are probably above average at evaluating wide receivers. I think that's probably safe to say.
But even James Washington, obviously, people mocking here James Washington. James Washington just got a 2nd contract with the Cowboys, and was like a solid depth receiver for them. And what was he? I can't remember where he was taken, but like. If that's your bust, like that's not even that bad of a bust.
Lynn Swan. Yes, they drafted Lynn Swan. That's fair. We got to give him it.
We got to watch the clip.
Yeah, pull it up.
So Zeta put together a clip for us from draft night of Davis just absolutely. The other part of the clip that I had kind of forgotten that I love was Gretsch was gone. Or you had gotten up and you come back and you're like, tell me what's going on. And then they fill you in and then you lose it too.
All of that, when I watched this clip back, was new to me until the part where I got
me too, because I was doing a video. I'm like, oh, I missed it.
They're comparing Garrett Wilson to Lynn Swan. People even know? How many people even fucking know who Lynn Swan is? There's no reason to be
Oh man, that's great. Look at that.
I was actually reading the RotoViz box score scout comps on him. It was Lynn Swan, just on the top.
Roll the Lynn Swan clip.
We're legitimately talking about a guy who never had a 1,000-yard receiving season, and I'm pretty sure he's in the Hall of Fame.
How did we get there? Their player comp for Garrett Wilson was Lynn Swan.
I couldn't wait to use that one.
Coach Chuck Knoll liked everything about Swam except the 4.7 times. Coach Knoll was right, said Art Rooney. He said the guy can't run. He really liked him, and he said, get a good time. I'm starting to understand how the Rooneys wanted Najee Harris to be the pick at 24 last year. They're comparing Garrett Wilson.
I was dying laughing at it. It wasn't because I thought the Lynn Swan thing was so hilarious. It was just how much it was getting Davis.
Yeah.
Like that.
I just remember coming back and you guys were in a deep dive on Lynn Swan, and I was like, it's draft night 22. How did we get here? And it killed me too. That was great.
Oh my god, that was great.
All right,
Davis
I think I'm
very
up.
nice. Najee, but
Pete,
yeah, you're back.
you. Puking blue. I'm gonna take. So, I want to talk about this of the next running backs. Everybody likes James Cook. I'm not sold on James Cook being that exciting. I think he's interesting. I really want to take Rashad White over James Cook anywhere I can. And now I'm not going to end up having any exposure to James Cook because people are very high on James Cook. In this mock, I'm just going to take James Cook and Rashad White because who gives a fuck? Like, I got to take 2 picks in a row. But I want to talk about why Rashad White should go ahead of James Cook.
You know what we're not very good at? Projecting the buried guy with a great profile to not do anything because he always does something. Alvin Kamara, Nick Chubb. Remember Nick Chubb was buried? Oh, no, they have Carlos Hyde. He'll never see the field. Nick Chubb is a star. It doesn't matter. You want to talk about Antonio Gibson? Darius Geis is going to play over him. Then they got Bryce Love. Doesn't matter.
Rashad
Antonio
White
Gibson takes the job. Yeah.
Did he?
You bet on the guy with the great profile. Who
I
cares
want
what
to take him in redraft in every league. Like, this is the dude that I want everywhere. Like, what he's in the perfect offense. This generates a shit ton of high-value touches. Leonard Fournette goes down. Rashad White is a league winner in 2022. Why would you not want to take him in the second round of your rookie draft? We're at the 1-2 turn equivalent. Why would you not want to take him at 112? Like I would absolutely want him. He's Alvin Kamara. Exactly.
It's a beautiful thing.
The what about Vaughn comment?
What about Vaughn? Yeah, exactly.
That's actually exactly what I'm talking about. What about Vaughn? Oh, the guy who's done nothing and they clearly don't like? Yeah. If Rashad White's good, Keyshawn Vaughn's a problem. No, he's not a problem at all. If Rashad White's bad, the whole bet fails. But if Rashad White's good, none of this stuff matters.
Well, also, Keyshawn Vaughn's a great point because he came into that playoff game. Was it their wild card game where Fournette missed and ran really poor on like touchdown expectation and still had like 14.5 PPR points?
Yeah.
Like as a bad player running negatively relative to expectation. Like Rashad White, if he's even just moderately better than Keyshawn Vaughn, moderately better than
evidence that Keyshawn Vaughn is probably not good. If Leonard Fournette goes down, there's going to be a competition. But the bet is the unknown is better than what we've seen from Keyshawn Vaughn. And that should be sort of the default. And the unknown, by the way, has the incredible profile. Blair has done incredible work on team share of receiving volume, right? And isn't Rashad White just like completely blowing everyone else away? And he has size. He's got the 3-down profile. Yeah. He's the Fournette. He's the size.
Henry mentions Kamara's 215. Rashad White's 214. It's the same profile.
Yeah, I'm not talking about Cook. Yeah, Henry. That's the thing. White should go ahead of Cook. That's sort of my whole argument. He's got the weight and that burst. He's got size, speed. If he didn't have the pass catching, he'd be interesting from his size and his 40 time as like the 2-down explosive potential big playback, right? That we could.
He also did really well in backfield dominator rating.
Yeah, he's everything. He's what we wanted Eno Benjamin to be.
That's right. The only problem with saying like, oh, Vaughn doesn't matter, he's no good, is that we also have evidence that Leonard Fournette's no good, and he still gets the touches.
You don't think I'm using that evidence in my brain to think about wonderful scenarios for Rashad White? I mean,
no, I'm saying the Bucs don't care whether people are good.
That's probably true.
In redraft, like I took Rashad White in a BBM 3 draft today, got him pick 137. And perfect. To me, it's just like the contingent value is through the roof, and you might bank an early season pass catching role. And like that's enough for me in redraft.
They took him in the third round. They took him like high for 2022 running backs. They went after him. And his expected draft position was not that high. They went after him. Like, they went and got him.
Yep. Josh mentions the age. That is a red flag. You'd rather have him be 21. But, our boy Ramondre Stevenson, he's an older guy, too. I think he was 23 as a rookie. And also a JUCO guy, I believe. So, he's certainly transfer. It's like, if a guy flashes elite per touch stuff, elite per route stuff, I don't really care how old he is at running back. I mean, it's certainly like, he's not going to be like an elite 101 type prospect at 23 years old, but that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about a guy you're going to get in the second round of rookie drafts, double-digit rounds of redraft. The age to me doesn't really matter for that bet.
I completely agree with that. The age is the reason that he's going to probably stay down. All the comments in the chat, Keyshawn Vaughn and everything are the reasons that he's going to stay down. It's all price relative. We love the price right now. This is the bet you want to make every year if you can make it. It doesn't mean Rashad White's definitely going to hit. It's kind of contingent on Fournette getting hurt. They obviously really like Fournette. They went to him like 80% of snaps in I think like 5 of their last 6 games that he was active. He is going to probably start the season as a workhorse, getting all of this work, all of those things. The question is, does Fournette stay healthy the whole year? And if he doesn't, can Rashad White become that player? And even if he can't at that point, this is still the bet you want to make. There is upside here. Size, receiving profile, the size-speed combo, all of the things that you want in a potential upside 3-down back that can catch passes, score touchdowns with the weight and everything. I mean, that's literally the bet you want to make in fantasy football right here.
Also, David Johnson was an older guy because Josh commenting this is a dynasty draft. Yeah, I know, but it doesn't matter because it's like running backs. Even in dynasty, running back is like you're only thinking a year or two out. Like you're allowed to trade the guy after the season, if he crushes. And guess what? It's gonna be worth more than the 202, 203, or whatever. Henry's asking if we would take White or a random 2023 first, a random 2023 first. I love the profile, but you take that value. But, for your 202, 203, my God, let's get Rashad White.
Yeah. And then real quick, just because we moved, Ben, clearly you see kind of James Cook, not the exact same profile, but similar situation where you're going to a high profile offense, and the speed bumps in front of him are even probably less than Leonard Fournette is.
Yeah, and you're getting the clarity that they've already come out and said we see him as the pass catching back. Like Blair maybe was just saying, hopefully he's catching passes, or maybe it was, I can't remember. I again have been drinking for like 4 hours now. Someone was saying
4 days, which is also
someone was saying maybe he'll catch passes. We already kind of got the implication that Cook is going to be catching passes. They don't like Zach Moss. The role is safer with Cook. The 3-down upside at his weight is not what it is for White. White has the ceiling. That's why I want to make the White bet. That's what I'm saying. I think I actually want to take. It feels dirty to take Cook over White, but Cook is probably a little more draft capital and a similarly good offense and more of a defined role coming in. Probably the better bet. But man, I want to rank White higher. I want to take White higher.
I think White's the better bet, but I totally get why someone would disagree with that. Like I don't think it's like clear cut or anything. I just personally think White is the better bet because he actually does have more of the receiving profile that's actually like to where you could see it becoming an RB1 type receiving profile. I think maybe like the weight stuff with Cook is like a little. I think he weighed 195, so he does weigh more than 198. He weighed in at more than 198, or more than 189. Excuse me. But yeah, Graham Barfield today was saying like he runs small. He's not like he basically is like maxed out. He thinks is kind of like a receiving type back, and the 195 weight is what that makes you worry about.
Yeah.
Jeff, of course it's Superflex. Check out the drafter from the one hole, just kind of running circles around to the rest of these guys, grabbing their favorite
also
players.
0.5 per carry.
It is. All right, Pat, you're back on the clock. Are you going to actually put together a roster or just keep pissing yellow?
I'm going to take the guy that ruined my previous draft. Give me Malik Willis.
Wow.
This is I think a little bit of a controversial pick. You still have him as QB2, despite. What is the optimistic playing time scenario? 2023, right?
The optimistic playing time scenario is the Titans do not make the playoffs, and we get to see Malik Willis at the end of the season in a Jalen Hurts, Carson Wentz, Eagles type situation where we get a little bit of a peak. Now, I don't think they're going to move on from at the end of the year like that. So now we're sitting through 2023 with Willis not as the starter, but then Willis takes the job midway through 2023. They move on from Tannehill after the season. That's your optimistic scenario. I think that's plausible. I don't think I'm going like crazy there with that because Willis has a ton of upside. That would give him a year and a half to develop, which, maybe he needs 2 years. But honestly, I think as soon as we're seeing, let's say 1.5 games from him, we're going to get super excited. You know why I feel that way? Because we saw like 1.5 games from Trey Lance and we were like, cool. I'm 100% in. Jimmy Garoppolo is still on the roster. Trey Lance was like the 209 in our startup.
Except Trey Lance was the 3rd overall pick. They traded 3 firsts for.
I know. I'm not saying that that's going to happen with Malik Willis, where he's going to be the mid-second in the startup. But his profile is so perfect for fantasy football that I do think once we get a chance to see him, we're going to get super excited. Malik Willis is going to play for the Titans at some point. And if he is their starter, he is the type of guy that we're taking at like the 105 in startups. Like the upside is astronomical if he can take the job. I know the path to him being the Titans starter for even a full season just got a lot thinner. But like, okay, I'm like 2 picks ahead of where you're going to take Desmond Ridder and Matt Corral. The upside with those guys isn't nearly as high. So I'm going to take on a little more risk and take the guy that could be like the 105 in startups in 2 years.
Wait till you're back up.
3 years. 3 years.
You're right about the Ritter Corral thing in any other draft room, but wait until you're back up and they're both still on the board.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. I didn't read the room, did I?
Read the room.
I blew
all right,
it.
Blair. I'm really curious to see where you go here.
All right, I am going to build a roster by pissing yellow. Take David Bell.
Yes!
I love it. I love it.
Wow.
David Bell probably could have gone over the running backs, but I didn't want to take him. I mean, we're like, look, we have credibility around here, so like we need to be sure that we're not reaching on guys that we love. So I mean, but when we have guests on, you know, they'll go ahead and do it for us. Blair, what's the deal with David Bell?
Well, I actually don't think there's much of a reach on Bell. I think he obviously slid a little in the draft, but if he hadn't even participated at the combine and you didn't have that 4.6, he probably would have gone a lot earlier. And he still has a profile that looks like Keenan Allen or Jarvis Landry. So, yeah, I'm pretty excited.
Is he on a
especially
team that
if
maybe
we-
has a role that Jarvis Landry type role that he could fill?
Feels like
I
it
wonder if
fits.
there's a role that's already set up that he can just slide right into.
Oh, baby.
Yeah, especially if he's going to be catching passes from Deshaun Watson. Sign me up.
This is where I have him ranked, Blair. I don't think this is a reach at all.
Yeah, I don't either. I was trying to make a point that I had him at in the range of Cook and White. I didn't want to reach there. I mean, relative to where he's going in, like when you're in your rookie real drafts, any viewers and listeners, you probably don't have to take him quite this high. Like, get a good value if you can, but definitely take David Bell is the point.
So every time I hear people talk, everyone seems super excited about David Bell, but he's still falling here well into the second round. Give me the bear case on David Bell. Like what's with the prospect profile where he's older?
He ran a 4.72, and people think that means that he can't play football. Like, you're not going to get the explosiveness. You're not going to get the after he, like, I always talk about yards per out, targets per out run. And then I, in my writing, like to call this after the target efficiency, yards per target, TD rate. He's never going to have seasons where he has massive yards per target, massive TD rate. He's not going to be that big body downfield receiver that can add air yards and yak and do all these incredible things. But he has shown the ability to earn targets at such a high rate that he can be Keenan Allen, he can be Jarvis Landry, he can be very productive. You're not going to get the massive efficiency boom seasons out of him, but I think his floor is really high in Cleveland with that offense, like Blair was saying.
Yeah,
He
and I
makes
mean,
a lot.
like,
He's not particularly old either. I mean, he declared after his junior season, age 20 breakout. Keenan Allen and Jarvis Landry both show up as two of his top comps in the box score scout.
I think the bear case is that like 9 or
Well, you wanted
He
the
was-
bear case. Sorry,
round 335. So what is that?
99,
Whatever that is, 99.
99.
So he barely snuck in there.
That's the comp picks.
I think the bear case is like, you know, what's Jarvis Landry but a little worse. Like, that guy is not very fun. Is that like Rashad Higgins? Like, you know, there's like
It's
a point.
So his top comp is Mohamed Sanu.
Yes. Okay. That's the bear case. Mohamed Sanu, who was like, you know, a guy the
Elite
Patriots
quarterback.
traded a second round pick for. So
An elite QB. Mohamed Sanu for his career was like 6 for 6 with like 150 passing yards and 6 touchdowns or something.
I mean, when you think of just like opportunity, and I think it's safe to work under the assumption he'd at least have Deshaun Watson for the second half of the season, even after the suspension. I mean, feels
even
like
if he's suspended for the whole year, like, you know, what
Yeah.
if he's suspended for the whole year and the Browns find out in time, he's going to get Baker Mayfield, and then he'll get Deshaun Watson the next year, you know?
Yeah. All right. David Bell getting steamed. Some of us like to trust NFL evaluators. We trust the draft capital. The bird in the hand is worth 2 David Bells in the bush. Jahan Dotson, come on down. I got stuck taking, we're running a mock draft in the Fantasy Life newsletter tomorrow, and I had pick 111 or 112, and I got stuck with Jahan Dotson as well. It's just like, we're notoriously bad at predicting this stuff. We all fucking hated Kadarius Toney last year, and he looked like the most electric receiver in the league when he was on the field. I don't think the depth chart is actually that intimidating. After Terry McLaurin, YOLO, top 20 pick, I'll take Jahan Dotson here.
You're going to stack him with Sam Howell because you're going to need a quarterback for Dotson to catch passes from because Carson Wentz ain't it. Yes, I was gonna take him with Cook and White. That's a great turn.
Look at you guys, just absolutely asleep at the wheel. How did you let me get Zach Ertz's backup this cheap? I mean, just complete oversight by you guys here. What color do we use for the tight ends? Was it? I can't even remember anymore.
I believe it's purple, buddy.
I thought that was the quarterbacks.
Platinum.
I mean, if we're not using purple for tight ends, why are we even using colors?
No, trust me, because I have my own color coordinating conditional formatting on this show, and I can't remember what it was last time, though. Maybe it was
I've literally used purple for tight ends ever since Crack Rock was like cranking purple. I changed my conditional formatting.
There we go. We're going orange for the headers, and
oh boy,
and we're going green for our tight ends. All right, Blair, you are back up.
All right. I think this is more yellow. This is Wan'Dale Robinson.
Oh my god!
Wow!
Refuses to not take a receiver. It's just perfect.
I
how do you spell that, Blair? Did I spell that right?
Apostrophe
after It's COLEBEASL.
All right, we're good now. All right,
Pete, why didn't you use wrap text?
Wrap text?
Yeah, why don't you wrap the text?
Because then all the rows are going to be different heights. You don't want that.
Yeah, no.
Is that why, Pete?
I hate when they're different heights.
Yeah, so, that's why I didn't use it.
Here, here, you want? There you go.
T-Mac.
Okay. Talk to us about Wan'Dale.
Yeah, so Wan'Dale, his physical comps, I'm going to slow play it at first again. His physical comps are not great, but he does, he has a lot more draft capital than the guys you typically associate with this size. Sorry, I just want to pull up his comps in the box score scout because they're pretty good. Elijah Moore, Rashad Bateman, Calvin Ridley. Right, he's pulling in these guys who are
Calvin Ridley's interesting.
Who are really productive in college and really light, but also weren't super fast. Ridley, obviously, well, actually, all three of those guys were 3-year players. Oh, and so was Robinson. Yeah, so that fits.
And how much for you is about this pick, knowing that the Kadarius Toney situation shaky, head case, maybe he gets traded, maybe he gets released at some point, or just ... in a vacuum, you like Robinson in this spot?
It's more in a vacuum, although I'm pretty interested to see kind of this new look Giants offense. This is the first receiver Abel drafted, so I'm excited to see how he uses him.
All right.
And as far as
what
Toney,
am I hearing whispers? He was going to be the Isaiah McKenzie in Dable's offense.
It's a lot to spend on Isaiah McKenzie.
Yeah.
Why can't he be Sterling Shepard?
Well, in the
or Odell Beckham.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, boom. I don't know about that.
In the Workout Explorer,
he's like 5'8".
Yeah, in the Workout Explorer, he pulls
like 5'10".
Cole Beasley as one of his comps. So you're kind of thinking, okay, did Dable just spend a second-round pick to get his version of Cole Beasley? I hope not. But that's
the Ridley one's interesting, although the height makes that one tough. But is interesting because Ridley was not athletic. Like his jump stunk too, I believe.
Yeah.
And I do feel like we're still penalizing Robinson in a pretty big way for the athleticism, even though the Giants don't care clearly. Like mostly the athleticism is supposed to be, for wide receivers anyway, a way to help predict draft position for the most part. It matters a little bit, but not like once the draft position's baked in, not that much.
Yeah. I think the Elijah Moore comp is pretty interesting too. Obviously, he's a little bit faster, but otherwise, they look like very similar players.
There's a really significant bias against smaller receivers when the NFL is clearly shifting toward a league that fits smaller receivers more. And everyone wants to talk about these cops, and like Henry's saying lots of busts, Tavon Austin. Like, yeah, like those guys busted yesteryear. Like Tavon Austin busted 10 years ago. It's a different league right now. I mean, you have to adjust to what the league trends are doing as well. There's a reason teams are taking these guys higher as well. I mean, obviously Austin got draft capital, but I mean, we're going to continue to see more young players be the first of their kind into the future. Like that's what is happening as a broader, when you step back 30,000 foot trend.
Wide receivers are getting smaller. Evolution
Also,
is regressing.
You're also just getting such a better price adjusted bet on a Wan'Dale Robinson than a Tavon Austin. Because Tavon Austin, what was he, like the 103 or the 104 rookie drafts that year? You know, like that's a really bad bust. But Wan'Dale Robinson, I don't think you got to take Wan'Dale Robinson here. You know, he's going later. I have him later than this in my ranks, and I think I'm a little bit ahead of ADP on him. The ADP that I saw was he was 24th in Superflex ADP. So I don't think this is a bad pick, but you know, you could even wait a little bit longer potentially and get Wan'Dale Robinson. So I mean, for the risk you're taking, I think it's it's not like the most upside in the world, but like you see Amon-Ra St. Brown gets a bunch of targets over the second half of the season, and all of a sudden people are like, oh my God, I gotta get Amon-Ra St. Brown. Yeah, he's a slot receiver. But if you can get him like this and ride it up, I think that's the way to go.
Yep.
All right, Pat, you're on the clock. All right, Gretch, you're on the clock.
No. Get that out of here. Dude. First of all, I already have Willis, so I don't even need a quarterback.
Pat,
but I still am going to take it. I still am going to take
Superflex.
Matt Corral.
You can start 2 quarterbacks on a week.
I'm going to take Matt Corral, baby.
Corral.
Wow.
Dude, I do not get this. Why is Desmond Ridder going ahead of Matt Corral? Matt Corral plays behind Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold is horrifically bad. Matt Rule is fighting for his job. Matt Rule's like 3 games in going to go, oh, that's right, Sam Darnold's terrible. And then he's going to put in Matt Corral. Matt Corral's going to throw to DJ Moore. Matt Corral's going to throw to Christian McCaffrey. Matt Corral's a better prospect than Desmond Ridder. He fell in the draft, I think, due to some off-the-field stuff to some degree. I don't think that I'm willing to bet on Matt Corral to be much better than the NFL thinks he's going to be based on that. Based on his talent, I think he's, even in this, even after seeing him fall to the third, I'm like, I think you guys are wrong. I think maybe he's more of a second-round type. I think he's a better prospect than Ridder. Great accuracy. He scrambles. He can be pretty solid for fantasy football. Not the strongest arm in the world, but I think he'll be just fine. And a nice little price here I got. So I'm taking him over Ridder every time. And I don't really get why Ridder's going first.
You actually really just convinced me, because I have been taking Ridder higher, but that was kind of brutal. I'm going to take Desmond Ridder for all of the opposite reasons of what Pat just said. Everything Pat just said, take the opposite argument of those. And then, I mean, the next best on my board, surprise, surprise, is a couple of running backs and a receiver that I don't want to draft. So I'm going to go deep into the 3rd round and just take the guy that I want to take, that I'm certain will not make it back because I know what room I'm in. I'm going to take Romeo Dubs.
Whoa.
Let's go.
I think he might have made it back then.
I was not taking Romeo Dubs.
I wasn't.
Blair was.
Blair, were you taking him?
I already got Watson. I can't hedge.
Oh, you got Watson.
Oh, man. We would have made it all the way back for sure.
Speak on that, Gretch.
I mean, he's better than Christian Watson. That's all I got to say.
Oh, boy. I think Sean basically said as much on the overtime pod.
Yeah, Sean's a fan. He might be better than Watson.
This is the guy you should take in the 3rd round of every rookie draft. He has very strong production profile. He goes to a team that has a bunch of available targets, that has an elite quarterback, and they drafted Christian Watson, probably the best bust profile of those top 10 picks that we talked about. That's why we took him 10th. I mean, he had to go there where Blair took him, but wasn't, like Pat's been saying all spring, wasn't very productive. Even when he had Trey Lance, a future top 5 pick as his quarterback, he was getting outproduced by other players in FBS, right? And finally has a good year as a senior. He's old. This is a guy who actually has the sort of Rotovizian profile they took later. I mean, you're gonna see like Allen Hurns type rookie year out of Allen Hurns was a UDFA. I think he came in the same year as Marquise Lee. We all loved Marquise Lee, but Allen Hurns was like really productive right away. It was a team that needed receivers.
I got one for you.
Knew it. They took multiple receivers, and the second receiver was better. What's the one you got?
Jacoby Myers and N'Keal Harry.
Here you go. And Myers, as the unheralded second rookie, was the one that actually mattered right away and still matters. Romeo Dub. I like it.
Dude,
I like
the
Romeo
chat
Dub.
just crushed it. Pull up Nick Bird's comment. Romeo Dubs. Romeo Dubs.
Yes, beautiful.
Dude,
it's glorious.
It's too perfect. Also, Gretch, I'm noticing a pattern with how you're drafting. Like Noah's Ark, you're rounding up players.
No. So Romeo Dubs is a receiver. You realize you have it I had to go back and piss yellow. There's a receiver. I want to be clear. There's a receiver, and I'll say when he comes off the board that I would have taken over him in a real draft. If I wasn't drafting with Blair, I would have taken a different receiver over Dubs.
I bet I know who it is.
Okay. Karain, you're back.
He might be close. He's probably coming up on my board.
All right. This is the guy I want to get in all my drafts in the late second round. Give me Tyler Algier.
Okay.
I'm seeing some tilts. I'm seeing some. Oh, go ahead, Ben.
No, you go ahead. It's your pick. I was just gonna say that's the guy that was the next best on my board when I took Romeo Dubs.
I'm seeing some tilt on the timeline about the fact that he's a 5th round pick. Why are we taking this guy ahead of guys who went in the 3rd round, went in the 4th round and stuff? We're taking him because he's a big back who had great breakaway numbers, and he goes to a team that's just getting all the leftover pieces they can and trying to turn it into the Titans. And it's not going to work, but in the process of doing that, Tyler Algier is going to get to play the Derrick Henry role. And he's not Derrick Henry, but he's like the same type of back. And they're going to be using him, I think, as their lead back this year. And, dude, this guy can actually be used as a receiver to some degree. His yards per out numbers aren't great, but they're kind of decent to where, if you can probably catch him dump, it's probably used more like in the Jonathan Taylor role where he gets, or the Nick Chubb type of stuff where he gets used on like some screens and stuff like that. And although he only ran, I believe, a 4.6, the breakaway numbers are very good. Once he gets rolling, he's tough to bring down. So I really like him. I think you're going to get pretty quick production out of him. And frankly, just a more talented back than he gets credit for.
All right, Blair. It's time for you to stop.
That was a peacock pat bit right there. That was a well-packaged analysis.
I'm going to go with a guy who...
Cut that for YouTube. I'm gonna let NBC know.
Yeah.
What, Blair? It better... You do have to fill a starting roster in this league. You can't just draft wide receivers forever.
What if I take a receiver who will probably get switched? No. There's a guy that we all thought was in the Kenneth Walker tier before the draft, and now he's slid so far, but he might actually still be good. Isaiah Spiller.
Okay. Speak on that.
Yeah, I mean, Spiller he's he actually might be the youngest running back in this draft class. He's someone who, for months leading up to the draft, we had as basically a top 8 pick, top 7 pick. And kind of, there were a lot of concerns, I guess, about his athleticism, but yeah, he took quite a slide. He ended up going in the 4th anyway, so it isn't probably as terrible as it seems. So yeah, I'm excited. I think he couldn't have ended up in really a better situation either.
We're going to be drafting a lot of him as a handcuff.
Yes. He's a good pick.
Yeah. Like in redraft, I mean. Like,
Yeah.
we're gonna have a bunch.
These are definitely 2 running backs that should go ahead of Romeo Dubs, but I already had 2 running backs on my team, and I'm not being that guy.
Blair, how much did it pain you to not take your 7th wide receiver, their 6th wide receiver?
Oh, it was hard.
Before we move on, can you?
It is.
Can you?
I
pull
did
up
5 in a
Willis's
row, so it's still a true 0 RB rookie draft.
This is a great comment.
Willis says, "Mom, I want Derrick Henry." The Falcons org says, "We have Derrick Henry at home."
That's great.
Too good. Too good.
KZ said, "So Gus Edwards for Tyler Algier." Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, Gus Edwards, but maybe.
Pete,
Gus Edwards
did you just make a quote comment in your own stream that says if Peter takes Jalen Tolbert, he wins the draft?
I don't know. I don't know who's running the social media.
Yeah. We're all trying to find out who did this.
We're all trying to find out who did it.
I mean, it is a great selection. I kind of share that similar sentiment. I will take Jalen Tolbert at this spot. I don't know if you guys know, but he did go to the Cowboys, and he'll be receiving passes from Dak Prescott. That seems good. And you know what? Let's do my other, Jahan Dotson style pick. Let's take Alec Pierce. No one wants this guy.
Yep.
They don't like him, but the NFL says otherwise.
Those are clearly the 2 best available receivers.
Those are very good picks.
This is what we call upside down drafting, hyper fragile drafting. You load up on your running backs, your quarterbacks early, and then you start mixing in the pass
I
catchers.
actually think upside down drafting is not this. Wasn't it that you take wide receivers early?
So I just gotta say,
upside down drafting.
This is called right side up drafting.
4D upside down drafting.
I just snipped upside down
right
drafting
side
on the
Right side up.
Thank you. Appreciate
So
it.
Pierce is actually the receiver I was referring to because I forgot to put Tolbert on my list, and I would have taken Tolbert over Dubs. Even with everything I said about Dubs, I still would have taken Tolbert. Whoops.
All right, Blair, who you got?
All right. I want the best quarterback prospect in the class, Sam Howell.
See, this is a spot where Dubs goes if I don't take him where I did. When Blair goes to quarterback, you know that all the good receivers are gone.
Yeah, then Dubs is off the board.
All right. Any other takes on Sam Howell?
I would love to be on Sam Howell, but a 5th round pick, it's just
501.
It's
Come
just
on,
tough,
let's not fearmonger. 4-5 turn. Let's call him the 4-5 turn.
yeah.
I mean, I think Matt Corral has like a much better chance than anyone thinks to start this year, and I think the same is probably true of Howell. We don't really
all the
believe
landing
Carson
spots
Wentz
were
is
pretty good for these quarterbacks.
Yeah.
They really
Yeah,
were.
they were. Yeah. I think Howell's probably on the Willis time frame that I outlined because the draft position is just so rough that, like, man, he has got to show him, like, he's got to be crushing in practice for them to even let him play at the end of the season, just with the 5th round pick. So, but I do think midway through 2023, he could take that job.
The other thing is he should be really good for all my De'Ami Brown shares.
I think that's pessimistic, Pat. I think he can take the job in 2022.
Okay. I mean, Wentz is pretty bad. So
yeah, like if he's terrible, what are you going to do? And if Howell's looking good in practice, like you were saying, and Wentz is playing poor in games, like Howell could play in 2022.
Yeah.
The Crack Rock, I don't know how to tell you this, but on the ship chasing draft platform, we crank green.
No, dude. No, I asked Crack Rock. I asked Pete to make it purple. He told me this whole thing about how running backs have to be light blue. I don't know what he was talking about.
Look, it's coded into our back-end CMS. It's really hard for our developers.
Yeah, the CMS. Pete, show the CMS real quick on how these colors come up.
Are you guys impressed with this? The CMS being able to handle upside down text like this? I mean, the devs have been doing a terrific job. Yeah.
That is actually, I am actually impressed with that.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I can do strike for you guys later if you want to see more of my party.
So the
tricks.
chat is saying Kirk Cousins was a 4th, they're saying Dak was a fourth. I can't remember if Dak was a fourth. Kirk Cousins
Dak was a fourth.
definitely
Yeah,
Dak was a fourth. Howell was 501.
Tom Brady, 6th.
What was Garoppolo?
Tom Brady. Tom Brady,
Garoppolo was a fourth
obviously. I mean, Sam Howell went higher than Tom Brady. What are you gonna say?
Yeah, it's just like the base rate stuff. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
there's a lot of 4th round quarterbacks though. There's a lot of 5th round quarterbacks. You don't hear about many of them. Yeah. So
all right,
I don't know.
Maybe there's something where like he was the 5th QB in his class though, because a lot of those QBs are a lot lower in the rankings in those classes. You know what I'm saying? This was a class that was everyone was pushed down. I don't want to put too much weight on the 5th round thing. I just really don't, because it was a weird year. I saw a really good piece of data, and I said this on a different pod somewhere. I wish I knew who I got it from, but somebody was pointing out that the year after a ton of draft capital, cumulative draft capital across all teams was spent on quarterback, it cratered every time, dating back to like 74 or something when Terry Bradshaw was taken. The year after, all of the highest years in NFL history for QB draft capital, it cratered. And 2021 was one of the top like 3 of all time. Like we had a ton of draft capital on QBs. 2022 wound up being one of the lowest of all time. It almost is after seeing that, and it was a hindsight analysis after the draft, but it's almost like we should have expected a little bit. There's fewer teams that are in need of a quarterback. There's a lot of teams in the NFL right now that have young quarterbacks. Less demand. These teams are sort of playing chicken with each other that need a quarterback. It wasn't a good class either, but I don't know. I'm like the way they fell was weird. These guys were projected to be 2nd round picks. Some people had Howell in the 1st round. I don't want to anchor to the 5th round draft capital too much.
And the other thing is, I mean, we're almost into the 3rd round of this rookie draft in a Superflex rookie draft. I mean, if he had gone earlier, you would not be able to get him here. Yeah, right. Weidermeyer's still on the board. Don't worry.
Not for long, buddy.
Not
for long.
You know, I was gonna actually honestly take someone else here, but Crackrock in the chat convincing Pete to make tight ends purple as they should be. Give me Greg Dulcich. I want to get in on this. I need that purple spot right on my board.
Greg Dulcich. Did I spell that right?
There you go. Yeah. He
So
gets
you're
used
still-
downfield.
you're
He's a
still
move tight
standing-
end.
You're still on this kick, huh?
Oh, yeah. I mean, 3rd round pick, you know,
Okay.
draft capital's there. Alberto, I know the darling of fantasy Twitter, Alberto, couldn't possibly lose his job to the guy that they just picked in the 3rd round and probably want him to beat out. Yeah, he can lose his job to this guy. I think Alberto's good. Alberto's more of a traditional inline tight end. So it really comes down to what they want out of their tight end. Because I don't think so. Dulcich's problem and why I would take McBride ahead for sure. And, you know, I actually probably wouldn't even take Dulcich here. I'd let him try to slip a little further in most drafts. But the issue is, if he's a move tight end, are they playing 2 tight end sets? Are they not having, you know, one of Tim Patrick, Jerry Jeudy, Cortland Sutton on the field? They also have KJ Hamler they got to fit in for snaps. So, like, there's really not a lot of 2 tight end sets that they're going to have room for. But maybe down the line, maybe next year, maybe halfway through this year, they start running more of like a Mike Gesicki type of tight end, where they're basically running 4 wide receiver sets with Dulcich as that 4th wide receiver, functionally, you know, officially a tight end, but really he's Mike Gesicki, he's Darren Waller, and he's not in the slot where we think of a slot receiver. He's split off the line on the other side of the formation in the slot, which is what Gesicki plays with a slot receiver all the time, but it's basically just a 4 wide receiver set. So if they move towards that with Russell Wilson at quarterback, that would be really exciting.
Well, if you're going to do the Russell Wilson tight end comp, don't you want to compare these guys to Jacob Hollister and Will Dissly, kind of the thunder and lightning?
Yeah.
You could throw in Gerald Everett. I'll allow that.
Gerald Everett, yeah.
Pat
right,
just made my tight end turn impossible, but I'll take Jelani Woods and Tyrion Davis Price.
Okay, yeah, I was
big-
thinking about taking Damian.
No, Tyrion Davis Price. I don't want
Tyrion.
Damian Pierce. No, like literally, I don't care what team Tyrion Davis-Price is on, or I mean Damian Pierce is on. He's not good at football, so you guys can have that. Everyone's super excited about him being on the Texans and being their starting running back, but we're gonna get a tight end, and we're gonna get the big, very fast running back that the 49ers took in the 3rd round.
You crank it purple one time when the sex bots show up. It's
Yeah.
Also, I feel like I really kind of starved the beast at tight end because you guys started scrambling after.
Yeah, it's 3 rounds later we scrambled.
Got it.
All right. I like that pick. I was actually going to grab him today in my not Jelani Woods, Tyrion Davis-Price, and someone sniped him, so he's already creeping on up. I had to settle for Pierre Strong as my.
As soon as I heard that Crack Rock was here, I had to crank it purple for the guy. So,
and Blair
Jelani
better
Woods.
as well. Otherwise, it's a disgrace. Pat, you're up.
I'm going to deviate from my ranks yet again after Ben Gretsch just obliterated Damian Pierce. I can't take him, so I'm going to take John Mechie. Another guy. This is probably maybe a snipe from you, Pete. The draft position. Just take the guy who the team thinks is good. He never really did anything in college, but there's maybe good reasons for that. Played with an insane group of wide receivers. Tears his ACL in December. We're all excited about Jameson Williams. What if John Mechie, who tore his ACL earlier, has a nice little rookie year? Then you can flip him in this mock draft.
Devin always has a sense of humor that's like potentially a half notch above what I'm understanding. But is this just because we didn't talk about Jelani Woods because we needed to comp him to?
No, this is when we made fun of Russell
Seattle
Wilson's penchant for throwing his tight ends.
Okay, got it.
Although Jimmy Graham was not peak Jimmy with Russell, was he?
All right, Blair.
Wasn't great.
All right, I've been getting too far away from my comfort zone here, so I'm going to go with Tyquan Thornton.
No! You can't snipe me, Blair.
Wow.
Blair, we had already had this ready to go for our
No.
He's not contribute day one.
this pick. God damn
That's
it,
why
Blair.
you got to take your guy 3 rounds too early.
Damn, that is brutal. They say you can't get sniped in a mock draft. Trust me, you can get sniped in a mock draft. All right, speak on that as eloquently as my model would have.
Pete, there's only one pick here for you.
There's not much more to say.
There's 2.
What, Blair?
Not much more to say. Super fast guy went in the 2nd round, I think, right?
Yep.
To a team that always hits on their wide receiver picks.
Yeah.
They are known for their ability to track high-level wide receiver talent.
Pete, you can recover here.
I am. We're going back to the model here. Let's check it. The devs did something. We're back. Pierre Strong Jr., an absolute beast of a player. The total package. He'd be a great fit on the Patriots. Come on down, Pierre Strong.
Should we go to the model again?
Okay, hang on. Let me get this pick in. The model is on fire. It has an incredible hit rate over the years. You guys should see the R squared on it.
It's a good model.
All right, there we go. Nice to get back to. It is. How many rounds do you guys want to go with this?
I mean, at least 7 more, right?
I want you to do this, so let's do another wrap.
Yeah, we got another round here.
Okay, all right.
I really want this to happen, so let's do another round.
Do not snipe me then when we come back around. No, this is my last pick. This is my last pick, guys. I'm gonna trust my model. We're gonna do it live. We're gonna come over here. Kevin Harris, check the team fit. The Stoolies are gonna love this guy. So is this guy, Kevin Harris. Come on down. I just learned that you were drafted by the Patriots, and now
hand in the dirt.
It's great to have you come on by. All right. Blair, next time you try to snipe me on a bit, just know I can weasel my way around it. All right, you're back up.
All right. Let's go. Ty Chandler.
Ooh. He's a basketball player?
Yeah.
Actually, Tyson Chandler was a basketball player.
Right.
That's why speak on him. Vikings?
Tyson Chandler. Yeah, Vikings. He was transferred to North Carolina to be Sam Howell's only pass catcher, basically, and was a smash, and should probably steal some receiving work from Madison right out of the gate, which maybe doesn't sound that exciting, but if there's an injury to Cook or if he can't play, then wheels up.
All right. Crane?
I'll take Damian Pierce here.
Yeah, that's a good.
Wow,
that's a good value.
sellout. I thought we
He's
were.
College committee. I actually would have. He's higher in my ranks than this by a decent amount. So, I lowered him a little for the bid equity, but I mean, he scored a bunch of touchdowns. He can break tackles, and it's like an open depth chart. So, he doesn't even have to be very good to be decently valuable this year.
All right.
I get
Gretch?
to close it.
No, you get to double tap it. I'm getting the last pick.
Oh, nice. I'll take Khalil Shakir and Tyler Beatty. Can't top
Ooh,
these
okay.
two picks. Straight up got dunked on. That's what I got to say about these picks.
We'll never recover.
Remember when
recover.
Khalil Shakur was like Hayden's bit player. He was like, when I started watching his tape, that was when I knew I was over watching prospects.
Yeah, but he's good. Blair, he's good, right? Blair, tell me he's good because I just took him in a mock draft. That's very important.
Oh yeah, he's good at this price.
Nice. The Bills got him.
Almost.
I mean, he's on the Bills. What else? Like, what are you gonna do? He's on a good team.
Pat?
All right, I'll go Zamir White, number 1 running back in the nation before he played in college, and then it wasn't very good. But he tore both of his ACLs in between being the number 1 running back recruit in the entire country and then getting to play in college. And that might ultimately be why he didn't have a very good college career. But then he had a really good combine, so maybe we're getting a little more juice as a pro. If we are, could be fun. Josh Jacobs not going to be there next year. Might be their starter next year. Who knows?
Blair, your final pick. Can't help but notice a gaping hole at tight end on your roster.
Oh,
Yeah,
I missed one.
that's tough. There is a tight end I like, but there's a running back I like even more.
Wow. Okay. Now you have to do it.
Well, yeah, for my last pick, I want it to be UDFA, backfield dominator star, Tyler Goodson, signed with the Packers.
Ooh. Oh, he signed with the Packers. Okay. I like that one. I like Tyler Goodson.
Did this just break across the wire here, Blair?
No,
Fast on us?
he signed like several days ago, like the day after the draft.
I just erased him from my memory when he wasn't drafted.
Yeah.
Who were the other interesting UDFAs? Justin Ross?
Yeah,
Justin
that's
Ross
the
of
guy
the
that
Chiefs. I mean,
I should have taken there.
There's a guy. Oh,
you dunked on yourself. To dunk on us, you must dunk on yourself.
I dunked on myself. What an embarrassment.
Who's the guy from Baylor? Baylor running.
Oh,
back.
Treston Ebner, dude. I almost took him.
No, that's
I
not
like
what
him
I'm
a
thinking
lot.
of.
Oh, all right. I'll go.
I can't remember.
God damn it.
Abe,
You don't like Treston Ebner? Isn't he from
Abram
Baylor?
Smith?
Here comes a fucking paragraph.
I can't believe you guys let this dude fall all the way to be here to supercharge this team. Eat shit, I win.
Couldn't even fill up the whole area.
Oh man, just you guys.
Dude, just wrap the
let
text, bro.
We're not doing multiple. Trust the process. If you want to be able to see the whole draft board, we can do it like this.
Oh boy.
All right, chat. Right, Pete. If you think Pete won the draft, in the chat. Otherwise, we'll see you guys next week. No, you can put Blair, even though he didn't take a tight end. You can put Crane. You can put Gretsch. Just make sure you put male looking for love / co-manager. Thank you. Yes, I will pay you. Oh, this is actually a good one. What happened to Brian Robinson?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I have Zamir White ahead of him, but I would have taken I have Brian Robinson as my next guy on the board. And then Kyler Williams and Keontae Ingram. I think Keontae Ingram's kind of interesting.
I'm far more concerned about us not drafting Justin Ross. That was an embarrassing decision on our part.
If there were more rounds, I would have probably taken Robinson where I took Goodson.
If there were more rounds,
you just wanted to make sure to take Goodson.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
I mean, I think Nick kind of speaks for everyone because you didn't take Ross. They kind of have to vote for me.
Yeah, that's fair. That makes sense. I mean, I'm voting Pete. Like, Jesus, how could I not?
I mean, Jalen fucking Weidemeyer. I mean, that's a winner right there.
When your wide receiver core is Jahan Dotson, Jalen Tolbert, now Pierce, what are you gonna do? Like, what are you gonna do?
That's the way you win over a ship chasing room right there.
Dude, I hate this fucking team so much. God, it's awful. It's awful.
Aside from the bit, Pete's draft is 4. Somebody had to be very clear that this was only a bit. And Pete, your draft's terrible.
Well, look, I'm gonna take a screenshot of this. I'm gonna post it on Twitter. We will revisit this in 1 year, 5 years, and 10 years. And I have a feeling that this team is gonna age very gracefully in the 10+ year timeline.
I'm excited for Weidemeyer to be the best pick of the draft.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited. No one saw it coming but Pete.
I mean, if you're worried about OJ Howard blocking Jalen Weidemeyer, boy, you're a fish.
Wow. Devin is shots fired at Blair.
Yeah.
Damn.
He says Blair took all the wide receivers and didn't get any of the good ones.
Who got the good ones then, Devin? Who got the good ones on? I think it's
How do you respond, Blair?
He's right.
Blair had to settle for Olave and Watson, and he's not happy about it. The 102 was your worst decision of the night. Not any of the picks.
That's true. None of the picks were as bad as picking the 102.
All right, Blair. Any other macro takes about this class? Any other deep sleepers you need the people to know about before they head into rookie draft weekend?
So the tight end I wanted to take, if I had to go purple there, would have been Isaiah Likely, who unfortunately signed with the Ravens. He was their second, or not signed. He was picked by the Ravens.
Did you read
Their
that Peter
second.
King thing though?
No, I didn't.
They got sniped hard on Calvin Austin, and they literally were like, they were like, come on, and then with like a minute and 30 seconds, Harbaugh turned to Greg Roman and was like, what about Likely? Can you find a spot for him, Greg? And Greg was like, yeah, sure. And they like totally just
That's
like
annoying.
panic picked Isaiah Likely. I mean, Isaiah Likely, I'd like the profile, but it's just hilarious.
That's amazing
Yeah.
that NFL teams are just like us, because that's exactly what I do in drafts when I get sniped. I spend the first 80% of my clock being pissed off and then figure it out in the final 20%.
And those are your best picks, right?
Sometimes.
That's true. Yeah. That's sometimes your best picks.
Sometimes you got to pick with your heart, not your head.
Right.
Gretsch, Pat, anything else on the horizon for you? Pat, are you just an F1 thought leader now? Is that the only
So
content you
be
do?
on the lookout. I got a chance to talk to Parker Kligerman, former NASCAR driver, about the F1 race this Sunday. That's going to be up on YouTube, getting his thoughts on the Miami Grand Prix, first ever. It was. I can't because it's wild, man. It's wild. You watch Drive to Survive, and then all of a sudden you're talking F1 on the NBC Sports channel. But it was actually a really fun conversation. I feel like I didn't come off as quite the noob that I am, which I did admit. But yeah, look for that. Look for an episode that I just did with Evan Silva, Graham Barfield, and Kyle Dvorak, where we did a similar exercise to this. We did a rookie mock draft. That just came out today.
There you go. Gretch, what about you?
I'm just looking at my Twitter mentions where Trey McBride motherfuckers and Jalen fucking Weidemeyer. Pete did not censor it for Twitter at all, which I'm a big fan of.
I forgot that children follow your Twitter account that can't see such words.
Beautiful draft board. I just love that they're all in caps too. They're all purple, and you have Greg, MF, and Dulcich, and only the tight ends are in caps. It's beautiful.
All the fantasy providers have their kind of own distinct aesthetic for their draft boards, and I'd like to think here at Peter Overs at Google Sheets Incorporated, we do too.
You got the great fit. You got the number 1 running back in 2014. It's beautiful.
All right. It is time to end the show. I think we'll give the people what they want next week. We'll start hopping in some drafts, and we can put some of these ideas on their feet. But Blair, very much appreciate you swinging by tonight. We wish you could have joined us for the drunken stream, but this was a very, very nice addition to have you tonight. So for Blair, for Pat, the F1 thought leader, for Gretch, still pounding Coors Lights 5, 6, 7 days later. I'm Peter Overzet, Jalen Weidemeyer for the win. We'll see you guys next time.